Okay, this is how I make pancetta style bacon. It's fairly simple. All you need is a piece of belly of pork. Nothing clever about that, any supermarket. First hassle is, best thing to do is cut the skin off, and that takes a sharp knife and some patience and not a little swearing. Okay, skin off the piece of belly pork, trimmed it up a bit so it's all about the same sort of thickness. Then the next thing you do is you need to weigh it. So I do that in grams because it makes the mathematics easier. So that is 501 grams, call it 500 grams. Okay, so 500 grams, and you want 3.5% salt, just because it's a little bit saltier and tastes a bit better. So multiplied by 0.035 equals, I need 17.5 grams of salt. Okay, so salt, any salt you like. I use sea salt because I like sea salt, but anything will do. We need 17.5 grams. Pretty close. .6. Yeah, close enough for jazz. Okay, now saltpetre. You don't need saltpetre, the salt's good enough to do the trick, but I use saltpetre because it keeps it pink, and you keep it somewhere where people aren't going to put it on their chips because it'll kill them. So you're meant to use 1/2%, which is just too much, too fine to measure. So for a bit of pork about that size, which is about a pound, you want, I don't know if you can see that, tip of a teaspoon handle of saltpetre. Put that. Final ingredient is just a bit of sugar. Helps it sweeter, helps make it sweeter. But the other thing it does is it helps it go brown and crispy when you fry it, which is always good for bacon. So I put about a teaspoon in for about a pound. Really doesn't matter. The salt's the crucial one. The rest of this is just over egging the pudding, really. Okay, salt, saltpetre and sugar all ground up and mixed together. At this point, if you like, you can add some fresh or dried herbs or spices. I happen to think it works rather nicely with some dried thyme, so put as much of that as you like in. I put in some, quite a lot, quite a little, up to you, but that's about as much as I put in. Then you just mix it all up again. The other thing that does is, if you use a pestle and mortar, is it helps crush the leaves of the thyme, and that releases the oils better during the curing process. Okay, so I've taken about half of that mixed up salt, saltpetre, sugar and thyme, and I've sprinkled it sort of evenly across the bottom of a Tupperware. And all you do is take your bit of belly pork, try and keep it in shot, and put it in the Tupperware. And then, if I can do this one-handed, sprinkle the rest of the salt. I'll get that last dregs out when I've got my hand free, and just distribute it sort of evenly over the bacon. Okay, so 24 hours later, you can see an amount of liquid's been drawn out by the salt, and obviously with clean hands you just turn it over, press it down and put it back in the fridge. Not only do you want the salt to draw the water out, but you've got to have time for the salt to move through the meat so that you have an even distribution of salt, sugar and saltpetre in the meat. I reckon 3 days minimum, but if you leave it for 5 days, turning it over once or twice a day, it gets a chance for the flavours to come out of the herbs that you've put in. Okay, so a week later, and that's what you got. It's got the herbs on it, Sorry about the filming, it's not very good. It's ready. You've got a bit of liquid left at the bottom of the pot. So all we're going to do is just rinse the stuff off under running cold water and dry it. And that's it, finished. Rinsed, patted dry. Just wrap it in some greaseproof paper. Keep it in the fridge. You can use it straight away, but the longer you keep it, the more it dries, the better the flavour. So that's bacon that's been done for about a fortnight. Keep it wrapped in greaseproof paper in the fridge. It just gets better as it dries. You will get little bits of white furry mould growing on it. If it worries you, wipe it off with a spot of vinegar, but it doesn't do you any harm. And you really can keep it for ages. This one I rolled up so that it would mature and lose water more slowly. That's 8 months old, and that really does add flavour when you add it to things like stews and soups and bologneses. Good luck.